That was so much fun. It looks like you were right, Ben.
Told you, it isn't just me who walks in circles.
What's next?
We need to organize and summarize the information we collected.
Information? Why don't you just say data?
That's true. Data are just information.
R? English is not my favorite subject, but I believe we use the word R when the subject is plural.
I can't slip anything past you two. Technically, the word data is plural, since data involve more than one piece of information.
It still sounds funny, but okay, carry on.
The next step is to explore the data, which involves an initial look at it with graphs and summary information, like percentages or averages. Here's what I found. 100% of the people in the study drifted.
What? You mean everyone crossed a sideline? I knew it was a lot, but I didn't realize everyone crossed a sideline.
Right, so everyone drifts.
Well, everyone in the study drifted. This doesn't guarantee that every single person will drift, but we can feel very confident that a high proportion of people in the general population would drift under the same conditions.
What else did we find out?
31 of the 32 subjects, which is about 97%, crossed the sideline corresponding to their dominant hand.
That's interesting. I wonder why the other person went the opposite way.
Maybe they are ambidextrous.
We also found that males walked an average of 65.3 yards before crossing a sideline, while females walked an average of 51.4 yards before crossing a sideline. Now, before you two start arguing, this is probably because males tend to be taller than females on average, and we found a very high correlation between a person's height and distance walked before crossing a sideline, indicating that taller people tend to walk further before crossing a sideline.
This would be so interesting if I understood any of it.
Averages and percentages are all summaries of different types of data, which we'll learn about in this course.
Now, can we answer our question of interest and the other questions?
Exploring the data is only one part of our analysis. Another part, which is step 5 in the statistical process, is a more formal analysis of the data. A common example of a formal analysis is a hypothesis test.
A hocus pocus what?
I hate tests.
A hypothesis test. I actually did one and found evidence to say that males tend to walk further than females on average.
But you just said that a few minutes ago. Why did you need to do a hypnotist test too?
A hypothesis test. We do this type of test when we want to make a generalization about a larger group of individuals that's based on data from a subset of that larger group.
I think I actually understood what you just said. Even if we wanted to make a generalization about students at our school, it would take a really long time to perform this experiment on everyone. So we just took some students.
Randomly?
So we randomly took some students to do the experiment in hopes of using the results as a basis to make a generalization about all students at our school.
Yes!
No worries if this does not make complete sense at this time. We'll discuss hypothesis tests and other analysis methods later in this course. If you take the next class in this sequence, or other statistics courses, you'll learn additional analysis methods. Which analysis method to use depends on the situation. It's the results of the formal analysis and what we learned from the exploratory analysis that is used to answer the question of interest, which is the last step in the statistical process.
I think I'm getting it too. In order to draw a conclusion to a larger group of individuals based on data we collected from a subset of that group, we have to make sure we properly collect data.
And in order to properly collect data, we need to plan. We need a good study design that will allow us to make a meaningful generalization to the larger group of people. The study design we select is based on the question of interest.
That's why it's so important to start with a question of interest first.
Yes! You two are getting it!
The only thing I get is that I have a lot of homework I need to get done and that I'm starving. Anyone up to go get some ice cream?
Yes!